And every step of the way along this journey, I said to God openly, like, if this is not for me, shut this door and open what is for me. And he did just that. I had 4 failed adoptions before that, but in this particular one, the doors just opened.
Hey, it's your girl Nancy Red, and this is season 4 of Mompreneurs, where we celebrate beautiful Black entrepreneurs who are also amazing moms. Now, every week I'm chatting with my guests about how they're killing it simultaneously as a business mogul and as a mom. We're listening to their inspiring journeys and incredible advice. Now, this week, we are speaking with newly minted mompreneur Angela Cannon. Now, she's the unstoppable Senior Vice President of Multicultural Networks and the General Manager for AspireTV, where she's leading a new era of bold, Black storytelling with heart and style. From launching original shows to on her own time writing children's books and mentoring the next generation through her personal nonprofit, the GiveBack Project, Angela's all about impact. And excitingly, after years of prayer and perfect timing, she's now a proud new mom, and somehow she still finds time to uplift communities from Atlanta to Kenya, all with grace, faith, and fierce creativity. Welcome to Mompreneurs, Angela.
Wow, what an amazing intro. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for being so awesome. Is this your debut as a mompreneur in these media streets?
Yeah, pretty much. I did do a panel about, fertility and my journey to, my son through adoption. But this is first time talking about career and motherhood. So yes, thank you.
I love it. Okay, so before we get too far in the business side of things, let's get a little personal. Let's talk about who in your life puts the mom and mompreneur, because let's talk about all the things you've done. You started a nonprofit, written a book, you give back tirelessly to your community and the whole globe, and you lead a major media network, but somehow you knew there was space in your life and in your heart for this beautiful baby boy.
Yeah, I think I've always wanted to be a mom. Always. And I also felt like I always wanted to win in my career. But I just felt like, at some point it will happen. And when it didn't, after, turning a certain age, I just really decided that it was time for me to focus on that more so. And I'm so glad that I did, because, at where I sit right now, I feel really comfortable in my skin being a mom. And I feel really comfortable understanding that, as the great auntie that I was, it still does not, even remotely compare to being a mom. So I'm happy in what I'm doing. He is a joy. He's a blessing. And I couldn't be prouder.
What's the difference? Because you have the really interesting capacity to have it all. And you are an incredible auntie, and now you're an incredible mom, right? To your 6-month-old.
Yeah.
And you've seen both sides. What do you think is the difference from going from an auntie to a mom? Because you love
yeah.
being an auntie.
Yeah, no, love being an auntie, but I can also leave, and go home, as an auntie. But no, I think really honestly the difference for me is that I was playing, but it's true. I can just go home, but it also has grounded me now more being a mom, because the things that I was doing for my family as a whole, my mom, my sister, my niece, there's times where I have me time, personal time to do what I wanted to do. But now it's not about me time and personal time. It's always thinking about, what does Kylan need? And, how do I always show up for him? So that's the difference, with being able to say hello, say goodbye, go do my thing, go have my girls' trips, go do all that stuff. But now the thought process is way more cemented in, reality. This is not just drop him off somewhere. This is real.
and those of us who know, we know, right? That's what this show is all about, because it's one thing to be an entrepreneur. It's another thing to be a mom. It's a whole other thing to be a mompreneur, because your brain, as we talked about offline, is not all there. You can't compartmentalize like you used to be able to.
That's so true. And the thing is that I talk to other moms and they're like, oh, you're still sleep deprived and all this. And honestly, I have to say, I'm not that bad. He's a great little boy. Like, he's very calm. He, probably just like maybe the first month and a half, he was waking up every 2 hours. But after that, it was long stretches. And even now he's through the night. So I cannot take that and say that is part of my problem. But I can say that I'm not always present because I'm with him. You know what I mean? Like, I'm with him. I'm wondering what he's doing. How's the nanny doing? What are they up to? Send me videos. I'm not always present thinking about him, but I, make sure that I am doing what I need to do from a work perspective. So.
And see, here's the thing. You've been at the same company for over 20 years. Yes. You have worked with a lot of incredible mompreneurs, some of whom, like Melissa Ingram, I have interviewed here for the Mompreneurs podcast. And you're very lucky because you've gotten to come into motherhood eyes wide open and with a lot of grounded advice. What's some of the best advice that you've gotten?
Oh, wow. I think prayer, number one, and which is not anything that I don't do anyway. I'm very, spiritual and very much in tuned with how I show up in front of God and how he leads and guides me every step of the way. But the other thing is just really understanding that at the end of the day, I have been given such a blessing. I call him my baby Christmas gift because he was born in December. And we literally made it home right before Christmas. So he's my Christmas gift. And a lot of people have told me, at the end of the day, and you have to make sure that you are thinking about yourself, being good to yourself, self-care for you as well as for him. Don't get all engulfed in just being a mom. Think about the things that matter to you as well. And that, I have to say, now that I'm, back at work and really kind of focusing on that again too, that makes such a world of difference when we think about putting ourselves first. And it's not just our kids. I'm not going to say put us first, but thinking about self-care and thinking about how we can show up for them, because we can be so much more suited to be their moms and being there for them all the time if we have poured into ourselves. So that was some great advice for me.
I love that. And I think that in some ways, in many ways actually, having him has been pouring into yourself, because you're part of trailblazing women who are openly from the beginning talking about this journey. How are you seeing the tide shift when it comes to people tell you can't have it all, but you can, maybe just not the way you thought, but you can still go after everything you've always wanted.
Absolutely. And you're absolutely right. They say you can't have it all. And I guess to some degree, I felt like that was going to be the case for me, right? Because I'm getting older. I've just kind of focused in on my career. The man hadn't come, or at least the one that should have, I thought should be the one hasn't come yet. I've had a lot of frogs in my past, but let's not talk about that. But the one that actually matters has not made it to me yet. And so I just figured, like, look, if I really want to do this, I'm going to have to do it on my own. And it took me a while to get there, because there's a lot that goes along with this decision. There's, should I do IVF? Should I do adoption? Should I do fostering? And then thinking about how is that going to affect my career in the long term? A lot of those were decisions that I had to think about and I had to make. But I tell you what, I'm so proud of the fact that not only did I not say no to this opportunity, but that I did it when I did it, because I really feel like a sense of purpose has come over me more so than I've ever had before. And I also feel a little bit more grounded to this opportunity so that I can take care of him and not have to worry about grinding in my career and trying to get this done and trying to get that job and trying to pay that bill and trying to do all these things. I feel like now I literally can, thank God, have that ability to have financial stability and be able to do all the things I need to do. I can be there for him like I would want to be. So everything works out, in the timing that it should. And even though, there's some people that say, you too old to have a baby or whatever, I don't hear that. I don't hear any of that, because at the end of the day, if God gave it to me, then I know that it's for me. If it was a door that was supposed to close, and every step of the way along this journey, I said to God openly, like, if this is not for me, shut this door. Like, do not allow it to open, and open what is for me. And he did just that. And I promise you, Nancy, like, everything was just so smooth in this one. Like, I had 4 failed adoptions before that, but in this particular one, the doors just opened just so smoothly. And my prayer was to be able to give back to somebody. Like, if I'm not going to do IVF and I'm not going to do all these other things, allow me to be a blessing to somebody else. And without a doubt, this particular situation, I know that I've affected the birth mom just as much as I'm going to be affecting Kylan. And so it was for me. So God bless me. I'm happy with where I am right now, and I'm happy with my career. I'm good. I'm
You're
good.
good. And I want to make a correction though, because you said, I decided to do it alone. You have not done this alone, because all of those people that you were talking about, I have helped other people.
Yes.
Everyone loves you, Angie. Talk
Yes.
to us about the village, because no village is stronger
Yes.
than yours. Who all is helping you to raise your sweet little boy? But he is in good shape when it comes to his community.
You're absolutely right. The list of people is so long. It would take us all day, number one, because the people that have come out and shown up for me when I announced that, I have adopted this baby, has just been really incredible. And I tell you, even people at work, they put out a post and, here's some Amazon gifts. And it was like Amazon was coming to my house every day, because it was just stuff. It was so much stuff in my dining room that just, came from work. It was just really amazing. And, along with yourself and, just Militia and I call them my sugars. Those are my prayer partners, my girls. Everyone, my family from all over the country and friends from all over the world, literally have showed up for him. So he knows he's loved, and he knows that he has his cousin, he has his auntie Elena, he has grandma. She calls herself Grams. Grams is here for you. Grams is here for you. So, everyone loves him. He is just really been a blessing for all of us. And I'm just, again, the village is strong and mighty. And I'm just so grateful that, the love for me, but also for him, has been very much seen and heard and really appreciated.
And has pivoted, because this village has always been there for you, but more in a career-oriented way, right? These people have helped you rise, not just in motherhood, but also in media. So let's pivot back to the preneur part of Mompreneur.
The preneur part.
When did you get the bug? Like, were you always business-oriented as a kid? Did you see yourself becoming an entrepreneur and an executive when you were little?
I don't know if I would say entrepreneurial or even executive in mind.
Did you even know what I didn't know what an executive was when I was a kid.
No, not really. Not really. I was babysitted by my grandfather. Once he retired, he was my babysitter, and we would always watch, TV. So whether it was Sanford and Son or Little House on the Prairie or The Jeffersons or Price is Right or whatever, like, I was watching these shows along with him. And at the end of the day, I remember thinking that, man, I don't see a lot of people that look like me on any of these shows, for the most part. And I remember even back then when I was little, I remember thinking, how come we're not on the TV? How come we're not on that TV screen? And that didn't really solidify any additional thoughts for me until I left college. But I went to school to get my degree in biology. So I was going to be a doctor. And so that's what I always thought I would be. My grandmother was a nurse. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. He had his own trash collecting company. He did real estate investing. He had several properties in Colorado Springs. So I just always seen both sides of it, but I thought I was going to go into the medical field. Once I got out of college and I realized that I didn't want to go into the medical field and I was going to have to tell my mom that I didn't want to do that anymore and I knew she was going to kill me, I knew I had to find out what that next thing was. And it always kind of led back to finding out more about this thing called entertainment. And we moved to California. I started working at CBS Television City as a page. And then I also started to do research with Warner Brothers and Disney. And at that point, I think is where it really was solidifying for me that all these people that are making decisions based on Nielsen ratings, or all these people that are making decisions based on, hey, I have this new idea, this new show idea or whatever. I wanted to be that person to make the decision. So it wasn't really until college that I found my niche of really trying to get into this side of the business. But it really, I have to say, even with Gospel Music Channel and, that turned into Up TV and Up Entertainment and Aspire and all this so on, I really didn't know that I would be sitting here running a network, 20 years later, or 18 years later. I didn't know that. And I really didn't aspire to do that. I aspired to make sure that, our voices were heard when whatever brands we were building. And it was important for me being on the team to create Aspire, that we thought about what was missing out there, which was positive Black voices and representation, that you don't always see on other networks. And we wanted to be different. We wanted to kind of carve our own niche. And I wanted to be part of that team. And I'm so glad that I was. And then I was able to just sell it in and do all these things. But I did not know that I would be doing what I did until I started doing it.
And what you're doing, so what people can understand, explain it in layperson's terms. I can explain it, but I want you to explain, what do you do? Because you're not just running networks, you're building platforms for voices that have historically been left out. It's a very complicated dance because you're trying to make money, bring people in, prove that they can make money.
I kind of touched on it a little bit, but it started out as, Gospel Music Channel. And at that time, Gospel Music Channel was rock, pop, country, soul. I could still to this day say it because we said it so much, but it was all gospel. And it was really kind of bridging that path forward for those that are, wanting to build a kingdom, those that believed in God and in Jesus, and they just wanted great music. And it didn't matter if you were a country enthusiast or if you were just straight gospel music. We wanted to be able to be that place for everything. And I started out there doing the marketing and promotion. And that kind of morphed into what I do now, which is SVP of Multicultural Networks, as well as General Manager of Aspire, which what you said is, it's, to me, coming to work and being able to play every day. I have such an amazing team of people that I work with. So I oversee all of the marketing and promotion, operations, programming, and that can include, and not limited to, this is basically getting pitches in and thinking about new programs that we want to bring on the air. It can include, really working with our programming team to make sure that we are programming the network to, the most beneficial for viewership and ratings, that our ad sales teams can go in and sell those in. It can be anything from, working with the marketing team on different campaigns. It can be looking at rough cuts from, new shows and giving notes back. So, and also developing partnerships. Part of my job is to bring in business development and develop partnerships. And one of the last ones that I've done is working with the world famous Harlem Globetrotters. So, and I can talk about that a little bit more in some of our programming, but those are kind of the staples of what I do. My trajectory at this company has been so varied and so wildly amazing that, to start out from a research person to starting the marketing team to doing content distribution and marketing, working on our international program sales to heading up our streaming service, Up Faith and Family, and I was able to run that for 3.5, 4 years to get us up to 1 million subscribers, to now sitting at Aspire, where, at Aspire, we really do say like we are the epicenter for Black culture and, delivering premium entertainment that is authentically and, it represents us as a culture. It represents Black life, Black style, Black stories, Black success. And, our tagline is see yourself here. So I love that tagline. I'm going to give the credit to Melissa, because she was sitting in this seat when we actually came up with that tagline. But I was part of that, brainstorming opportunity to see yourself here. And it really rings true today, see yourself
it's
here.
Also, one of the great things you are such a good leader and collaborator, right? Because when someone comes up with an idea, it's important to back them up, right? It's important to acknowledge that situation. That is actually leadership. And that's actually how you've been able to stay ahead. You are very good at pivoting. You've gone from back because what TV was when you started 20 years ago is not what streaming is today, right? Streaming did not exist. How have you been able to stay ahead in such a fast-changing industry? Because a lot of people listening are very overwhelmed, and especially a lot of people are in media, and it's very hard to maintain awareness of the trajectory of where media is going.
For us sitting in the seats in media, it's hard for us to maintain exactly what's going on in where media is going. I think that's the $100 million question, like what comes next. But what has worked for me, I saw it coming down the pike, streaming. We actually were one of the first to have a streaming service, which at the time was called G Movies, is now Up Faith and Family. And I was able to work with our CFO, CTO, who was heading that up at the time, to kind of build in content for it. It was all faith-based content, and we were on the hunt looking for it. And so I was able to go through the catalogs. Back then it was a catalog, literally catalog, going through and looking at programs that we wanted to add to this. And I can guarantee you that is not what they're doing today to look for programming for any type of streaming service. But I really felt like this is going to be something that's transformational. It's going to change. And I went back to school, I went back to school to really make sure that I understood what digital marketing was and how that is going to change the way in which we market to not only our linear viewers, but also to streaming customers. I went back to school to really understand the overall project management. And I went back to school to really understand just overall digital universes, and just trying to make sure that I was ahead of the game, ahead of the curve on what was coming down the pike. And then I was able to oversee Up Faith and Family. And I think, bringing on some really heavy hitters from, a data scientist to, another person that headed up our marketing angles with that digital marketing. And she is a genius at really kind of understanding this space. It helped me to grow too. So you can't always think that it's only on you and it's only on your shoulders. It's the team in which you build, and making sure that they're smarter than you. They have the wherewithal to really kind of take you to that next level. You can't be the only person. Like, you have that team, you manage that team, you learn from that team, you grow with that team. And, by hiring the smarter people, you're the one that is actually reaping the benefits ultimately.
Absolutely. So, a conversation that always comes up in these conversations is, are need for control, but the requirement for us to release control. And of course,
Yeah.
Melissa Ingram, we talked about her book, It's Not About You, Sis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
helpful for anybody trying to realize that I am but a vessel. I am
Yes.
someone who great
Yeah.
ideas can pass through, can come from, but it is part of unity. And I think that what's really great about what you're saying is you understand that you need to continue to grow. You need to continue to bring in new ideas and new people with new ideas, even with your canonical knowledge, to continue to keep the boat afloat.
Absolutely.
And interestingly enough, that's why you decided to start after 20 years in this industry, pivoting, going to school, continuing to excel. You started a nonprofit with that mentorship in mind to bring a new generation of young women into the streaming industry.
Yeah, I started out with being asked to be a mentor on the Women in Streaming organization. And at the time, everyone was like, that's not a thing. They don't have organizations like that. But it really was. And in fact, my first mentor was a young woman out of Croatia that was working there and doing, technology and streaming there in Croatia. So it really kind of broadened my eyes that internationally, there's so much more going on for our young women in the world of STEM than it is here at home. So I just wanted to be able to develop the GiveBack Project that really would allow for us that are working in streaming or in technology fields, or now with AI blowing up in the way into which it is. I really just wanted to be kind of like a vehicle to help them understand that they too can make a difference and can have an impact in this new conversation of technology, that we don't have to sit on the back burner and sidelines just trying to watch everybody else take advantage of this. Like, we need to be in those conversations. We need to be the ones that are affecting how AI shows up for us as a culture. We need to be the ones that are understanding the technologies, and when you're playing those games or when you're doing those things, we should be building those, not just playing them. So that is why, I wanted to do something within, that nonprofit space that really kind of tapped back into our young people and said, you too can make a difference, and I'm going to help you get there.
In this world of AI, I think it's so important that you bring up the fact that we cannot ignore it. Many of us want to ignore it, self-included. However, I recognize that is terrible as an idea. What is your advice to women in this industry who have to get a grasp on the direction everything is headed?
You cannot go anywhere right now without AI having some form or fashion of impact on what you're doing each and every day. I don't care what it is you do. You're going to the movies, you're paying a parking ticket, no matter what it is, there's some form of that is led and held by AI. So my advice to anybody is to get out of just chat GTP. Like, there's way more to what we do in AI than just chat. There's so many other, apps and platforms and things that we should be testing out and learning, and really making sure that you're each and every day you're learning something new within that space, because there's just so many changes. I had an interview not last year sometime, and we were talking about Sora at the time. Sora had just come out, and right when Sora came out, Sora, if for those that don't know, Sora is an application that came out that you can do a prompt. So a prompt is something that you would just say, you're a young lady walking down the street with, blonde hair, a white coat on, and, you're building out this scene. And Sora, you put that in chat and it would build the scene for you. And right after that, Tyler Perry came out and said, well, I'm going to scrap my build on the rest of my my studio because AI is going to be taking all these jobs. And so one of the things I said was, no, it's not that AI is going to be taking the jobs. It's the people that understand how to use AI that are going to take the jobs. So to this day, and I really do mean that hasn't changed. It's just a matter of making sure that our young people, and ourselves included, not just our young people, but we are getting in there, we're understanding all these different technologies, we're using different platforms and different apps, and that we understand that at the end of the day, how we use it and how we are molding our usage of it now is going to affect our future. So that's my advice. Get in there, use it, educate yourself, and, make sure that you put it on your resume.
One of the interesting things, I think, Angela, is the fact that a lot of people actually think AI can be really great for underrepresented representation in our industry because it's so much less expensive. It affords opportunities for smaller organizations, individuals to get their stories out, their voices heard.
Yes, if we do it, right? Like that, I've heard that too. And I just feel like I've seen so many people. For instance, there was a short form video that just came out last week on social. Is a young gentleman that created this promo spot through AI. Beautiful, like absolutely beautiful. But then I was reading the comments from it, and a lot of people were like, I would never be able to do that. I don't know how to do that. Blah, blah, blah. Like, and it was just really kind of negativity going all around it, basically saying, I can't do this. I won't do that. So that's why I said, if we show up for it and if we learn it and if we take our, I guess, blinders off of the fact that it is technology. For some reason, we have this aversion to technologies, and we really shouldn't. We should lean into them more and not be afraid of them. And I think once we get that to that point where we can be cognizant that we're doing that to ourselves, that we're hindering our own progress and our own selves, then we'll be able to be so much more attuned with what's happening and what's about to happen.
No, it's so true. And here's the thing, anyone listening to this, you need to listen to Angela, because this is someone who does not believe no. She does not believe she can't do nothing. She can do whatever it is. She puts her mind to it. It may not happen immediately, but it ends up happening, whether it is running this empire, whether it is making Aspire happen, whether it is starting her nonprofit, whether it is having her baby. She's even written a children's book. And talk to us about the impetus for your children's book, which is so cute. My daughter has a copy. Who am I? I'm God's princess.
Yes, thank you. That started because of my niece. Again, I'm definitely the aunt that just loves my niece and just, coos over her. She's now almost 23. So there you go. That's been an ongoing thing.
You've been aunting for the auntiest of aunt times.
Aunts, the major aunt. But it started out because of her, because she was such a super happy baby, super happy kid. And, we go to church. My mother is a minister. She brought us up in the church. We go to church. We believe in God. We pray. And one of the things that, it was loosely referenced on her life, but one of the things that you have to deal with sometimes in school is when you're sitting down at lunch and you pray over your food, or if you have a test and you're praying over your test, and the kids are like, why are you doing that? Why are you so happy? Because I'm God's princess, that's why. And I just wanted our young princesses to know that you don't have to shrink just to say that you love God and that God is important to you. You don't have to shrink back, that you can even be more so vocal about the fact that He's important to you and that He's leading and guiding you every step of the way and He's protecting you every step of the way. And I just wanted her to see that, even if it is through a book, I want her and all the other young ladies to see that you are God's princess. You are here for a reason, and that you need to go and take your rightful place and do all the things that you are here to do, without any type of, hesitation or, feeling ashamed to be a young God's princess.
I love that. Are you inspired now with your new baby boy to write I'm God's Prince? The sequel?
It's so funny. My mom has been asking me for years to write a boys book, and I get a lot of comments back that they want a boys book. But I honestly was like, I don't have a boy story. Because we have all girls in our family. Like there's 2 boys, 2 cousins, and they're, a lot younger than I am. And I just didn't have a boy story in my spirit to write about. But I will now. I absolutely want to do a book for him, and especially around his adoption story and why it was so important to name him Kylan. I named him Kylan because Kai means warrior, and Ilion in the Bible means God's strength is with you. So I wanted to be able to not only name him with some form and fashion of purpose, but I want him to see, like, no matter what you go through, you are a warrior, you are God's prince, and we'll go from there.
I love that. You could talk about Jesus, you could talk about AI, you could talk about mentorship, and that's the really fun thing. You're a multifaceted person, and you have a lot of things you've done, but you also have things that you still want to do. Maybe not in the next couple of months while you're still getting your mama legs, but I can't let you leave without participating in my favorite segment, which is called Mompreneurs Manifestation. And I always ask each of my guests what you're trying to make happen and how we can help bring it into the universe for you. Well, the last time we talked about this, you were like, I'm trying to have a baby, and it happened. So, hooray!
There's that. Well, I have to say that, first and foremost, taking it back to Aspire really quickly, I'm so proud of the fact that since I've been sitting in this seat for 3 years now, we've done 12 original shows, and we have 4 of them going to be premiering this year. So we have another season of Downright Delicious with Yo-Yo coming back. She's, Yo-Yo, the legendary rapper. She's in the kitchen. She does amazing work in the kitchen. You gotta go watch that show. And that will be coming back in October. We have City Eats with the incomparable Chef G. Garvin. City Eats is going to be going to Savannah, Charleston, as well as to Nashville this season. So we want to tune in for that. And that's also in September. We have the world famous Harlem Globetrotters, Secrets of the City. I'm so happy with this show and so excited that they actually listened to a pitch that I did, and the Globetrotters said yes. I mean, I literally just put it out there because I've always been a fan of the Harlem Globetrotters.
And you pitched that originally, and you went there. Yes. You were just like, this is my idea.
This is my idea.
And they were just like, sold on
I did it
Angela.
just like that. I did it like that. I said,
100%.
What? No,
What?
I did. I just, I said, hey, you guys travel already. Let us just follow along with you to do amazing travel show and give them Secrets of the City. Secrets of the City. So Egypt, we're going to Egypt. We're going to Belize. We're going to Bali. We went to London. So got to tune in to get all the rest. It's an amazing show. And then finally Hustle, Sizzle, Smoke, also Chef G. Garvin. So with that being said, there's great shows happening on the Aspire side. As a mompreneur, no, I am continuing to do some of the things that I've done on the side always. One of those is being a consultant. Back in the gospel music channel days, I kind of started this then. This is right when social media was becoming a big thing. And so I just wanted to help a friend of mine who's a comedian kind of get his legs in social media and build his brand. And the word kind of spread around the artists and the different independent labels. And so I was able to help them create marketing strategies, particularly around social media. Don't do that as much anymore, but that was kind of how I started on my mompreneurial journey. So then I got into real estate investing, got into short-term rentals. So yeah, regardless of, whether it's here at the network or if it's being entrepreneurial in those spaces, I'm kind of doing them alongside one in another, just trying to make sure that, I'm preparing for my future and preparing for Kylan's future and making sure that, I'm an owner. You got to be an owner of something. And I want to be sure that he and I are going to be great in this new era of whatever's next.
That's the entire point of this podcast, because as I always say, my family crawled out of destitution with entrepreneurship. And sometimes all it takes, my mama always says, you need to start a business. All it takes is a rag, start you a car wash. You know, and I'm just so proud of you for being such a great role model, because notice she's got multiple things going and some of them don't work out. There's tons of failures. What you see are the successes. We talk about this a lot, but each incremental thing gives Kylan, gives our children a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more freedom. And as my dad always said, insulates you from racism and social injustice. So we appreciate you being here. You have to tell everyone where they can find you, Aspire, and all your many endeavors.
Aspire.tv, our website. And then also you can try AspireTV on all the social media platforms. And for me personally, ANGIERC1 on Instagram. And yeah, I'm definitely excited about, you know, what's to come next, and just really thank you for allowing me to be here and to talking to other, you know, mompreneurs.
Yay! Well, we're so excited for you, and you're such an inspiration, from figuring out how to get the life you want, from pivoting, from getting your education and not avoiding AI, which is key tip number one if you want to survive in 2025 and beyond. Angela has just been so full of a wealth of knowledge that we all need. And I don't know if we even deserve, because you're just the best. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
And thank you all for listening to and watching Mompreneurs. Now, as a reminder, a brand new episode goes live every Monday on Urban One Podcast Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Visit urban1podcast.com to learn more. That's urban1podcast.com.